Live from the KDAL studios at Lake and Superior Street in downtown Duluth, it's Stars Over the Prairie with 8-time Minnesota Music Award winner Paul Metsa.
And I wish I could see stars over the prairie, stars over the prairie tonight.
Featuring cool people from all walks of life. Check out previous show podcasts at KDAL610.com. The phone lines are open at 218-722-0839. Now, here's Paul Metsa.
And I wish I could see stars over the prairie, stars over the prairie tonight.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stars Over the Prairie. This is your host, Paul Metsa, with my wingman, Chris Allen. Pre-happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, all you lovely mothers. And if anybody's out there fishing, good luck. I'm planning on going up on Monday to Lake Vermilion to Wake-em-Up Bay, throw a line off the dock, and go looking for some walleyes. What do we do here on Stars Over the Prairie? We interview stars, people that used to be stars, people that want to be stars, people that just go outside at night, grab a cold one and look at the stars. But we have some real stars on the show today. It's going to be a really fascinating show here on the Big K, 610 AM and 103.9 FM, streaming all over the world at KDAL610.com. We are broadcasting from the Big K studio, just a stone's throw away from Bob Dylan's Way, 237 somersaults directly down the hill from Bob Dylan's childhood home. The young man who grew up there, who will be 84 years old on May 24th, the Big Dylan Day celebration. They've been doing it for years up here in Duluth. Is right around the corner. I'm going to be doing a big show at the refurbished and renewed Alhambra Theater on Tuesday, May 20th. A salute to Bob Dylan with myself, my harmonica player of 27 years, Sonny Earl, along with Greg Inhofer in person, who played keyboards on all 5 tracks of Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks, recorded in Minneapolis in December of 1974. We're going to be chatting with him. It's a concert in conversation. Salute to Bob Dylan. The Alhambra is an absolutely gorgeous new theater. It opened for the first time in 1913. I'm not sure exactly when it went dark, but when the great Bob Boone reopened the West Theater, which was started in the 40s, and rehabbed that and opened up for movies and concerts several years ago, he bought the building next door. There was a Mexican restaurant in the front that had been out of business. So one day Bob went rooting around in the back and found this beautiful old, it was dilapidated, but he knew that this beautiful old dilapidated theater could be a beautiful new theater once again. So they are reopening with a bunch of shows on May 15th. It's right next to the West Theater on 321 Central Avenue. And so my salute to Bob Dylan with Sonny Earl and Greg Inhofer is there on Tuesday, May 20th. Say if it is your birthday today, you got a pretty good outlook for the year. You are a giver, a go-getter, ambitious, but always considerate of others. You instinctively understand that change is necessary for growth, even though you do hold on to traditions, habits, and people. Romantic at heart, you love deeply and often permanently. You are strong at networking and promotion. You're also highly intelligent. You importantly feed your mind with new information. So keep that going on for the rest of 2025. And if you were born today, you've got some good company. Well, maybe not so good. Start off with John Wilkes Booth was also born today. He was born in Bel Air, Maryland in 1838. Of course, he was the one that assassinated Abraham Lincoln, so that might be a dark spot for a man you share birthdays with. Passed away, of course, in 1865. On a lighter note, Fred Astaire, the great dancer and tap dancer and singer, was born in 1899 in Omaha, Nebraska. Passed away in 1987. But star of both stage and screen. Amazing dancer and recording artist. His famous songs on record are Cheek to Cheek, Let's Call the Whole Thing Off. Another great musician, Mother Maybelle Carter from the Carter family, was born in Nicholsville, Virginia in 1909, passed away in 1978. And, of course, the Carter family made the blueprint for traditional country music. And there'd be no Woody Guthrie if it wasn't for Carter family songs. So we wish Mother Maybelle Carter a happy, heavenly birthday. Pat Summerall, for all you football fans, the great New York Giants kicker, was born in 1930 in Lake City, Florida. Passed away in 2013. Of course, he was a longtime broadcaster, and you saw him with John Madden and more. And on those football broadcasts on network television. Now, another great musician, Donovan, is celebrating his 79th birthday today. Of course, his songs you've heard still on the radio: Mellow Yellow, Season of the Witch, and Sunshine Superman. Born in Glasgow, Scotland.
Really?
79 years ago today.
In Scotland?
Yeah.
I never would have thought.
He's still performing. He's still out there.
You're kidding.
He looks pretty good, yeah. You remember, we were kids when those songs were on the air, but they called it Mellow Yellow.
Yeah. Season of the Witch is the one that I heard first.
Oh, yeah. That brother could turn on any radio station that plays top 40 from the last 50 years, and you'll still hear those songs.
Good songs, though.
Oh, great songs. Kind of a dark point in rock and roll history. Not the Sex Pistols, of who he played bass with. I really enjoyed what they had to offer when they invigorated rock and roll. But Sid Vicious, the bass player, was born in 1957 in London, England. Of course, died of an overdose in 1979.
Great movie, Sid and Nancy.
Oh, man. Well, Gary Oldman is one of my all-time favorite actors. Have you seen the movie he did as Winston Churchill?
Yes.
It's just phenomenal.
He won something for that, didn't he?
Oh, he should have.
If he didn't, he should have, because he was phenomenal in that movie.
Now, one more good birthday. Turned 65 today. Bono from U2.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, they're not doing much nowadays, and he just bought himself a bar because he says he wants to go hang out somewhere and not have to pay.
Well, he was born in Dublin, Ireland, and those Irish men like to throw him back every now and then.
And he says that he also wanted it somewhere where he could go, hey, I'm buying for this guy. What are you going to do, say no?
You know, I saw a great U2 show. God, when was it? Early 2011, 2012 at U.S. Bank Stadium. And I knew a guy that was working for U2, so he got us, me and my gal, some tickets. And it just started to pour. And they might have been planning on playing it anyway because they were in Minneapolis. But it was so prolific, they played Purple Rain during the rainstorm.
Awesome.
It was phenomenal.
The best, in my opinion, and I'm biased, was Prince Super Bowl, because when he got to Purple Rain, total downpour. It had been raining all day, and the guys in the trailer said, I don't think he's going to want to do this. He's going to shock himself. And they went to him, and they said, Prince, it's raining outside. We're not sure if we're going to do this or not. And he says, bring it on.
Yeah, no, he said, can you make it rain more?
Yeah.
That greatest Super Bowl of all time.
Yeah.
Super Bowl halftime for sure. Hey, you get Jeff Kramer on the phone here. Who's one of the big wigs with Nova Ukraine. We're going to find out about the history of the great organization. We, of course, are doing a big benefit for Nova Ukraine on Wednesday, May 14th at the Sacred Heart Music Center. And just a delightful lineup of Twinport musicians that I am proud to present. I'm going to be playing. We've got Mark and Nancy Rubin, Christopher David Hansen, Aaron Aldrich, John Ward and Lori Hatton. Whiskey River are back. Timothy Martin, Brianna Tepler, Sonia Martin, Lisa Wilson, who will be joining us at the bottom of this hour to sing some songs a cappella, including one in Ukrainian. The Mann Brothers, love those guys, two founding members of the Salty Dogs. The Duluth Superior Harbor Masters, the Climbs, and George Ellsworth. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful night of music. Doors at 6 o'clock at the Sacred Heart Music Center. Shows at 7. And we will be giving away a pair of VIP front row tickets at some point during the show. Do we get a hold of Mr. Jeff Kramer?
We got him on the line right now.
All right. Jeff Kramer is with Nova Ukraine. He's joining us from his home in Houston, Texas. Jeff, thanks for being part of the Stars Over the Prairie radio show today.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Well, I've done, this will be the second benefit I've put together for Ukraine. It is a country and a cause I feel it's very important. Tell us about, start with Jeff, what is your mission with Nova Ukraine?
Well, Nova Ukraine began 10 years ago in 2014 with the initial invasion of the country by Russia. And when it began, it started with the mission, and it has remained the mission to serve those men, women, and children in need in any way, shape, or form we can possibly help them through any services. And we work with partners on the ground and internationally to provide the services necessary to preserve life. With the exception of we're not involved directly with the military, so we're involved in humanitarian needs, housing, medicine, food, clean water, health care, education, safe spaces, those types of things.
Have you been over there personally, Jeff?
I have. I was in Ukraine for the first time in August.
What was that like? What did it feel like? What was the situation on the ground?
Well, it was actually an extraordinary experience. I've traveled quite a bit over the course of my career and life, but I had never been in a war zone. And so, on the one hand, it was an extraordinary experience to be in and a part of the devastation that exists. You cannot walk around any big city, any small town, any small village, and not be taken by the destruction and death that has occurred in the country over the last several years. And yet, on the flip side of the coin, I met a people that were extraordinarily resilient, determined not to be scared into corners, but to live their lives, to educate their children, to protect themselves, and to continue to build a stable life for themselves. They, in the big cities, people go to work, kids go to school. When there's an alarm sounded, they look, they protect themselves, and then they move on with the everyday things in life that we all go on with and work hard to take care of. So it's a real dichotomy. It's a protection. It's a sense of loss for not just places, but for people. Ukraine has lost a great deal. There's a great deal of struggle for clean water, for food security, for health care, for everyday medications. And yet there's a belief in the country. There's a support for the country. There's a belief and a support that life at the same time and simultaneously has to go on.
Isn't that, it's got to just be amazing to witness that.
It is. It is an extraordinary thing to witness that and be a part of that, and to feel the love and appreciation when someone from outside Ukraine comes and visits. I'll share one story. I was in a small village outside the city of Mykolaiv, which has been heavily attacked over the last 3 years. And I was in a very small village that had, for all intents and purposes, had been leveled.
Wow.
And a woman, an older woman living alone, had been told that I was coming to see the village, to meet the people, and to see what we might be able to do to help. And when I got there, this sweet lady invited me into her house that had no front door, that had holes in the roofs, in her roof. And she came in and she welcomed me, and she handed me 2 bags of pierogies.
Oh, man.
That she had spent all night baking,
wow.
knowing I was coming to the village. And this is a woman who struggles every day to feed herself.
Right.
And she was giving me food
wow.
to take back. And the only message, when we talked and we shared and we got to know each other, and I was preparing to leave, to move on to my next location of my next visit, she said, I only have one message for you to take home to the United States. And I said, what's that? She said, please go home and tell them thank you.
Wow.
Thank you for the love, the concern, the support, the prayer, and all that's being done to help us, bring this to an end and move beyond it. That's all she wanted me to say was thank you to people who had stepped up and felt their pain and wanted to help.
Wow, that is such a touching story. And they're, dealing with, with the new administration, I don't want to say, I'm not going to say willful neglect, but there's just such a change in tone from Biden to Trump that it must be incredibly disheartening. Well, it's disheartening for a lot of Americans, but it's got to be incredibly disheartening for Ukrainians to see the change in tone from the both administrations and the difference.
Yes, I think I think the ramifications and consequences of that change perspective obviously are much deeper and harder to deal with for Ukrainians than they are for Americans, since we're thousands of miles away. But I think that the underlying frustration that you allude to is felt by many, and a desire just on a human level to end something that should never have taken place and shouldn't be taking place. And, the hope, even in the hope, both in Ukraine, in America, and those that I meet with and talk with around the world, is that, we'll be able to find our way as a globe to a place where we can bring this to an end and move beyond it to where we all have the security we want, the independence and the sovereignty we want, and the needs of life that we need today, as well as for tomorrow and for our children's upcoming generations to come.
I look at I've been following it since Russia invaded Crimea, and to see the bravery and the soul of the Ukrainian people. And I go, man, if Americans had half the love, and there's a lot of Americans that do, but had half the love and the bravery to fight for our democracy like the Ukrainians are fighting for theirs, it would be a much better country we're living in. What is the one thing that is really heartbreaking, and you might know the numbers more on this, but is it true that there's been over 19,000 Ukrainian children kidnapped?
That is my understanding. I think that it's somewhere in that ballpark. That's a number that has gone, has varied to the point where we have a good sense of the general number, but I don't think we'll ever know the exact number. That is heartbreaking. Some of those kids have been brought back. I know there's many, far and away the majority, I believe, have not been returned, and it's moving people in this country to serve that particular need solely. just to bring them home.
You know, I lived in Minneapolis for almost 40 years, and when I moved to Northeast Minneapolis, it was I lived in a real Ukrainian neighborhood. In fact, the church that was right around the corner from me had pierogies every Thursday, and I would get it twice a month, get my pierogies from the church. And then they had the Ukrainian Center just about 6 blocks away from me, where they had church services and community events and great music. In fact, we're getting ready to celebrate Bob Dylan's birthday up here in Duluth, his childhood home. And Peter Ostroushko, who played mandolin on Blood on the Tracks and was also in the Prarie Home Companion for years, parents were from Ukraine, and just he passed away a few years ago, but the guy was just kind of a warehouse of Ukrainian music, both instrumentally and the bands he played with in his group. And so I've always had a love for that kind of music. In fact, we're going to have a woman on after we get done speaking with Jeff Kramer from Nova Ukraine that is actually going to sing the Ukrainian national anthem, and she will be at our Benefit for Ukraine on May 14th, this coming Wednesday at the Sacred Heart Music Center. Go to sacredheartmusic.org for tickets. It's also going to be live streamed. All benefits, all financial benefits are going to Nova Ukraine. Tell us how people can, people who listen to the show right now, Jeff, how they can donate and how they can help.
Well, please, there's many ways to help. You can certainly write your congressmen and your senators here in the States urging support for Ukrainian sovereignty and peace in that part of the world. You can make a donation of any amount, and it all goes. Every dollar helps. You just need to visit www.novaukraine.org, and you can make a donation on our website. Every dollar counts. Every dollar helps. And you can support that way. You can also give us a call. Our number, you can contact us through our website, and we can talk about volunteer activities that are going on both here in the States and around the world. And you can join that effort, and you can spread the message. You can talk with your friends and family and neighbors, and please let them know where you stand on this issue and help them garner a better understanding of the realities that Ukraine is facing, not necessarily the conflicting news media reports that they may be hearing, but to explain to them what's happening and that this is an unjust war, in many ways an illegal war, and needs to stop, not just for Ukraine, but both sides, for Russian civilians as well. It needs to stop for both sides, and we need to be able to move on and beyond, enter our rebuilding stage of Ukraine, and go from there.
Jeff Kramer, I so appreciate your time. We are looking forward to supporting you, not only with great music, which will be live streamed, but we hope to raise a nice chunk of change for Nova Ukraine. Keep up the great work. You've got a great team, and we stand in solidarity with you here in Duluth, Minnesota, Jeff Kramer.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the time. Thank you for your support, and thank you for bringing this to the public's attention.
You have a beautiful weekend, Jeff, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You're listening to Stars Over the Prairie. We're going to have the great musician Liesl Wilson up for the second part of the first hour. Then coming up at 11:05, we will be chatting with Dessa. She's a great writer, rapper, performer she's written for the New York Times, the National Geographic. She's authored books. She's got poetry. She's got a bunch of videos on her website at DessaWander.com. Place to get a lot of tchotchkes and music and books by Dessa. We'll be talking with her at 11:05. She's playing at Bent Paddle. They're celebrating their 10th anniversary tonight in my Lincoln Park neighborhood. Then at about 11:30, we are going to be talking with Prarie Cordes. She is a great musician, songwriter, and singer, and wrote a book called Dreaming of Dylan, 150 dreams she's collected from different friends. She wrote a song about it too, so she'll be with us there. But before we get to the break, I want to remind you, if you're fishing and you're going up north and you swing through my hometown of Virginia, Minnesota, stop by Flamber's Bar for a cold one and play some pull tabs, have reasonably priced drinks, see some of their cool sports memorabilia. They are located on the corner of 2nd Avenue and Chestnut Street in Virginia, Minnesota. After you pass the Ricavina Bridge, just hang a right on the 2nd Avenue, go down about 12 blocks, and there you are. We're going to hear from the people that help keep us on the air here at Stars of the Prairie, and then live and in person, Ms. Liesl Wilson. Welcome back, everybody, to Stars of the Prairie. This is Paul Metsa with my host, Chris Allen. We want to thank Jeff Kramer for joining us from Houston, from Nova, Ukraine. And coming up, we have just a wonderful musician. Liesl Wilson has been playing violin since she was a little girl. And besides playing, she speaks Chinese Mandarin.
Wow.
She learned that with her Chinese studies in high school and college. And she sings, get this, Chris. You want to feel like a loser? Okay.
I already do. I don't speak Mandarin.
Get this, man. She can sing in Mandarin Chinese, Scottish Gaelic, Irish, Early Scots, Spanish, and Welsh. You and I can barely sing in English.
I was going to say, we haven't mastered that yet.
She's performed throughout the United States and Scotland, and she's a member of ERA and the Blue Canvas Orchestra, as well as the Canvas Ensemble. And we are delighted to have her in the studio with us live. Liesl, how are you this morning?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. You look like you got up bright and early. You've got nice rosy cheeks and a beautiful smile, and we so appreciate you being with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
And thanks for being on our big show for the benefit for Ukraine with 12 other acts. Wednesday, May 14th, just right around the corner. Doors at 6, show at 7 at the Sacred Heart Music Center. When did you get interested in learning Chinese?
So it was just kind of weird. Like, I grew up in Ashland, Wisconsin, and I was not surrounded by anything remotely Chinese related.
Not a big Chinese community down there.
No, and I've always just been drawn to it. I don't know why. I used to, like, as a kid, I watched, like, some documentaries on China, and that was really my only exposure to anything Chinese related.
Right.
And I would, like, pretend to be writing characters, and like I built a great wall in my sandbox in my backyard. Like, I don't know. I just was really drawn to it as a kid. And then when I was 16, I started teaching myself online because I didn't have like any classes I could go to. And then I ended up going to college. My mom was like, you have to go to college. And I said, okay, what am I going to study? Chinese, obviously. Yeah. So that's what I studied because I had the opportunity.
Where'd you go to college?
UW-Madison.
Okay. Madtown.
In Madison.
Yeah, Madtown.
Yeah, yes, yep.
It is Madtown. I've been down there. I love it.
Yes, it's wonderful.
So say something like, it's really nice to be with you, Paul Metsa, on Stars Over the Prairie in Chinese.
很高兴跟你 Paul Metsa 一块儿在 Stars of the Prairie 跟你聊天儿。
Wow.
There we go. We're borrowing that. We're using that.
For sure. That's our next bumper intro. So after you got out of college, what did you do?
So after I got out of college, I did a couple years of like teacher training. I was doing Chinese K through 12 teaching, and I did student teaching at the time and decided that wasn't what I wanted to get into, so I didn't do that. And then I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit, and then actually it's 10 years ago I started playing and singing and touring with a bunch of different bands. So that that's been mostly what I've been doing since college, I would say.
What do you do with your kid while you're on the road?
My mother.
Oh, thanks, Mama.
The stay-at-home grandma.
Yes. Well, yeah. So she was working at the time, but she was able to also, she had a vet clinic that was below her house.
Oh, good for her.
So she had, so like her grandson was hanging out upstairs, and then she was working down there. And I took off for like 3 weeks to tour Scotland with a band, and it was awesome.
Well, happy Mother's Day to both of you.
Oh, thank you.
And I've never met a veterinarian I didn't like.
They're a unique bunch, yes.
Heart of Gold. Let's hear a little recorded music by our guest, Lisa Wilson.
Harja de laurana perlan turum dirallillan Ona bauni anavahinan turum dirallillan Takur tiha takur skibar takur sabet inagor Fallirallillal Turum dirallillal Takur der wen wich gang henog Turum dirallillal Golugar nisef drasser hog Turum dirallillal Miar hosafane chaskor Nestong hariad
I'm such a lover of those beautiful melodies. Tell us a little bit about that song, Liesl.
So that's a song in Welsh called Daku Nghariad. I believe it means "Where is my sweetheart?" And it's a really beautiful traditional Welsh song.
And what band was performed that?
That was on Era's most recent album from 2021.
You guys have been in the studio, I think, twice.
Yeah.
Well, we love Era and Willow Green here. So you do a lot of a cappella stuff, and you are going to grace us with a song. Mm-hmm. You're going to play this to open the show at the Benefit for Ukraine on Wednesday, May 14th at the Sacred Heart Music Center. But we're going to give a little bit of it away here, and this is actually the Ukrainian national anthem.
All right.
Shinevmer la Ukraini, ni slava, ni volja, Shinam bratya молоді, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші воріженьки, як роса на сонце. Запануєм і мій браття у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим на чашу свободу. І покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
Wow, that's just beautiful.
Thank
You know, it's just, it's really, it sounds like a cliche, but it's cliches are cliches because they're true. But music is definitely the universal language. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're traveling, let's say to Scotland, did you get a chance to play with musicians from Scotland?
I just casually. We were staying with a friend who's a musician for a week in the north of Scotland. It was a town called Buckie. Buckie. It was a really great little town. We had such a fun time. And she was a fellow fiddler, and we really enjoyed. We jammed together. It was a lot of fun. I didn't end up performing with any other musicians there at the time, but we had like a tour scheduled. It was we were touring a show about John Muir, and he's from Scotland, so that's what we were doing.
You've been playing violin since you were a young girl. Mm-hmm. Do you still practice every day?
When I'm feeling it, I do, but sometimes I get distracted by other aspects of life, like we all do.
Yeah, right. How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
2?
Mm-hmm.
How old are they?
13 and 5.
You're a busy mama.
Yes.
Where are you playing besides the, and I want to thank you personally for playing at the benefit for Ukraine on Wednesday, May 14th. Get your tickets at sacredheartmusic.org. But where are you playing in the area in the coming days, weeks, or months?
So we have a few different places we're playing over the summer. We're going to be playing the Land of the Loon Festival in Virginia, Minnesota.
What day? I'm playing up there too.
Oh, you are? Yeah. It's the Saturday and Sunday, both days.
I'm playing up there on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, fun. We'll probably see you there.
My mother started that festival.
Really? I didn't know that.
1976 with her friend Pearl Antonovich.
Okay.
She, she had this idea. She's a very artful woman. We've got to have this arts festival. Uh-huh. And so her and Pearl put it together. And I remember the morning she woke us up at 6 o'clock in the morning because the event started like at about 10 a.m. at Alcott Park. We happened to live right across the street. And we went knocking on doors to get picnic tables and chairs. Oh, wow. And she had somebody banging on a guitar and somebody painting on an easel. Uh-huh. And now that Land of the Loon Festival, which is usually the third week of June, mm-hmm. Literally, I've heard numbers it brings in between $1.5 to $2 million into the area for that weekend.
Incredible! That's incredible.
Have you played it before?
We have, yeah. We're somewhat regulars there now. Era, the band Era.
So you must know my friend Shannon Gunderson.
Yes, yes, we do.
She's I'm playing with my band.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to date myself here a little bit. My band Cats Under the Stars, did our very first gig under that name. We were going by Hot Walleye for about a year before, but on August 17th, 1975, we played on that bandstand. Oh, it's Cats Under the Stars. So we're going to be playing on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Then I'm going to play some songs on Sunday with Shannon. So we're looking forward to getting there. But even before that, Liesl, I did, when I had my band, The Positive Reaction, we played that bandstand in about, now I'm really dating myself, in about 1968.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
We had matching Nehru jackets that my mother made, and we rocked the joint.
That's awesome.
Let's hear another recorded track by our guest, Liesl Wilson.
高山青，涧水蓝。阿里山的姑娘美如水呀，阿里山的少年壮如山。高山长青，涧水长蓝。姑娘和那少年永不分呀，碧水长围着青山庄。 情，见水长蓝。姑娘和那少年永不分呀，碧水长围着青山转。
Lisa Wilson, that is just beautiful music. What was the name of that song?
Thank you so much. That was called 阿里山的姑娘. The Girls of Alishan Mountain. Alishan Mountain is in Taiwan.
Wow. You are an incredible human being. Have you ever played at Carmody's Irish Pub?
I know I have not.
Well, you just got an offer. My friend Eddie Gleason, the retired Chicago cop, he and his wife Liz run it. It's right around the corner at 308 East Superior Street.
Good.
And just a great club. I play there. In fact, I'm playing there tomorrow from 4 to 8. I do Sundays. Might be moving to Fridays, but I'm there tomorrow from 4 to 8. He just texted me. He wants to book you at Carmody's.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So you bring down, you can play solo or bring some friends down. It's really nice. They got a great little sound system down there.
Okay.
And it's like being in Dublin, where Eddie just got back from and bumped into a person in the National Forest over there that knew me for some reason.
I love that.
So, what types of music do you listen to for pleasure?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. Obviously, lots of folk music because I just learned by listening to a lot of things. And the things that I learn are things that I'm just really drawn to. That really just give me that goosebumps feel. Like I don't learn anything that doesn't give me goosebumps. So.
Wow. Yeah.
And then outside of that, I also enjoy metal.
Sure, rock on, baby.
I have a varied...
I guess so.
Metal is very big in China, though, as you know.
Oh, yes.
I'm in a band, and one of our songs wound up making it into China, and they invited us to come over and play, and we were like, how do we can put this together? Come on, and we couldn't do it.
Incredible.
You know where to hire an interpreter for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've always wanted to be in a metal band, but I haven't done that yet. So.
Wow. I'm 33% Irish. I found that out. I claim my Finnish background as my main thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm about 46% that. But I've always been so attracted to Irish music and Irish folk music. But I had the pleasure in about 96. I opened up for 2 shows, one at the Troy, New York Opera House, and won the last show of the tour for Mary Black.
Oh, very nice.
And it was so great because,
awesome.
her last show was in Boston at the Berkeley Performing Arts Center. The only way I could get into Berkeley was to play there because I would have never passed the entrance exam to get into study.
Oh, right.
But I opened up for her and in Boston, and it was very, it's Boston, and there's no bigger Irish community in America than Boston. And I was really touched, number one, by how good her band was.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a really touching moment. I did my set. It went over well because I made sure I mentioned Kevin McHale, who played for the Celtics for years, who was another Iron Ranger from Hibbing. So I was literally in Lake Flynn, as they say. But it was really a touching moment. Where the guitar player had been with Mary for 15 years. It was his last performance with her.
Oh, wow.
And they had this little meeting backstage that, I just kind of watched it from a bit of a distance. But to see the thanks and the warmth that those two were exchanging for 15 years of music.
Amazing.
But you know what that's like? Playing with especially musicians that are friends of yours. There's no real greater
absolutely.
relationship.
Absolutely. Yes.
You're going to sing one more song for us, a cappella. We have Lisa Wilson on Stars Over the Prairie. This is your host, Paul Metsa, yakking. I got my buddy Chris Allen. Then coming up, we've got a great conversation where I'm looking forward to chatting with Dessa. Great writer, rapper, and author, broadcaster, and TED Talker, among other things. She is performing at 5 o'clock tonight at the event panel 10 10th anniversary show right on Michigan Street, right in my Lincoln Park neighborhood. And then we're going to have the great Mary Lee Cordes, who I just performed with down in Tulsa at Shelter from the Storm, the 50th anniversary of Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks. She wrote a great book called Dreaming of Dylan. She collected 115 dreams, people dreaming of Bob Dylan. She wrote a song about it, so she's going to be up after Death of Darling at 11:05. But we still have the great Lisa Wilson. We're so glad she showed up early and to join us. Tell us the next song you were going to sing.
Yeah, I'll sing a Welsh song. I have a little bit of Welsh ancestry, so I did some research into Welsh music. That's how I got there. And this song is called Bachyn Bach o Dinker, or The Little Tinker Boy. Do I have a second to talk about it a little?
Sure.
Okay, so it's actually has a pretty cool story. So in the 1940s, somebody was recording and trying to preserve a bunch of traditional Welsh music, and she recorded an old man singing this song at the time. And when he was young, so this was in the 1940s, and he was an old man, right? So when he was young, he was growing up in Wales, and they really didn't speak English yet there. And so they had just come in, and they were trying to teach these kids English, and he didn't understand a word of what they were saying. And so there was a song from England that they were trying to teach them, and so the chorus of this song is actually a Welshified version of what he heard of the English song that they were trying to teach them. So the chorus of this song is not actually Welsh. It's basically nonsense, and then the verses are Welsh.
Great.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Bachyn bach o dingar yn crydro chyddo wlad, cario dwls yn dacla gwneud ei weith yn rad, yn ei lawr o'r hair na care gefnoedd bocs, put o getyn na ni gega, da ni drwy'n ro'r locs. Potiar paipar twig ar owns y gyn, potiar adda paipar adda nic a boc y lain, la di da di ho ho ger on y chen, o the potiar adda paipar adda nic a boc y lain. Cyddi anna bab eich hapus ar nair ystyn, taro hair na na tan yn ddal I sgwrsio'n glen, aisteddon o gongol ein goesau draws a llall, tan I sodd o'r gloi o glani, gwryn geidiol gwall. Potiar paipar twig ar hawnt y gyn, potiar adda paipar adda nic a boc y lain, la di ho ho ger on y chen, o the potiar adda paipar adda nic a boc y lain.
Thank you very much, Lisa Wilson. We'll be back in a little bit.
Live. It Stars Over the Prairie with 8-time Minnesota Music Award-winning songwriter, musician, author, and historian, Paul Metsa. Check out previous show podcasts at KDAL610.com. Now, here's Paul Metsa.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful day up here in the Zenith City by the Unsalted Sea. Looking forward to a little dog park action before I go catch Tessa at the Bent Paddle's 10th anniversary party outdoors today. Music on 2 stages. Want to shout out to Eddie Gleason, who's out there running. He usually runs up and down Park Point. He's got his earbuds in. I play at his club, Carmody's Irish Pub, every Sunday from 4 to 6. But he checked in. He texted me and said he's listening. Eddie's 69 years old, but he's got the body of a 68-year-old and currently jogging. So stay strong, Eddie. Get home to Liz before it's too late. We'd like to thank our guest in the first hour, Jeff Kramer from Nova Ukraine, telling us about the great work NovaUkraine.org does on behalf of all the humanitarian aid they provide to the people of Ukraine since 2014. Big show for them. Benefit for Ukraine on May 14th at the Sacred Heart Music Center, featuring Aaron Aldridge, Christopher David Hansen, myself, Mark and Nancy Rubin, Duluth Superior Harbor Masters, The Climb, Superior Simon, John Ward Lorhan, and many more, including the return of Whiskey River. And then I'm doing a big show. So salute to Dylan, a concert and conversation on May 20th, Tuesday night, with Sonny Earl and Greg Inhofer, a legendary Minnesota musician who happened to play keyboard on all 5 tracks of Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks. We will be at the refurbished and reopened Alhambra Theater. It's open this week on May 15th. It's a 60-seat theater. Bob Boone and Mark Escalette has brought that place back to its former glory. It originally opened in 1913. They're at 321 Central Avenue, right next to the West Theater, and it is going to be the hottest and coolest venue in town. So my salute to Bob Dylan, concert and conversation on Tuesday, May 20th. Doors at 8, show at 8:30 p.m. I've been following Dessa for over 15 years. She is a phenomenal rapper, writer, broadcaster, TED talker, and she is also likes making cupcakes. He says, listen a little bit before we get her on the phone.
Let's get a record. If you're trying to be a go-getter, you gotta go and get it. Desperate times call for desperate pleasures. Some legitimate headlines, mostly cries for attention. The camera speeds, copy ready to read. Ought to be a good night. Well, item 3, 2, fuck, man, busted on a holiday.
I'm so excited to have a just a phenomenal artist with us this morning on Stars Over the Prairie. She is, I've been following her for years. She's a writer, rapper, broadcaster, TED talker, and a wonderful performer. The lovely Dessa is going to be performing tonight at Bent Paddle at their 10th annual Festiversary party, 1832 Michigan Street. And so I'm excited to see her and her great band. She's got so much going on all the time. But Dessa, thanks for taking time to talk to us this morning.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Paul.
What is the latest project for Miss Dessa?
Let's see. I flew back to Minneapolis yesterday, and on the plane was listening to the first demos of some new music. So I've got some new music in the works, and I'm slowly tinkering with some long-form fiction, too.
Well, you are probably one of the most prolific artists I know in Minnesota, if not the rest of the country. And you're actually, your team and yourself do a marvelous job of marketing. I actually came across you for the first time years ago when I was living in Minneapolis, working out at the YWCA downtown, and you were featured on some of the ads. Working out, and of course I had heard your name when you were working with Doomtree, and then you were working with some friends of mine at McNally Smith School of Music, so you've been on my radar for a long time. Talk to us a little bit about young Dessa, how she got involved in music, and when did she start writing, and how did that transfer into your association with Doomtree?
Oh man, I will totally take your compliment that I am a prolific artist, put it in my pocket and run away. I feel like I work across a lot of genres and even some disciplines, but dude, I work so slowly in all of them. So, yeah, if I could frame like an audio pull, that's the one that I would frame. But I started with an interest in language when I was really young. I liked words, and I liked when people used them in weird ways, and I liked collecting unusual ones in my head. And by the time I was in my like very late teens, early 20s, so I'm like graduating college, I went to the U of M. I was performing at some poetry slams here in the Twin Cities. And that scene of like competitive poetry had a lot of, it had like a lot of overlap with the hip hop scene, particularly then. So for me, that was sort of the kind of entry into performing arts. Before then, I was mostly writing stuff, sad poems, and a lot of juvenilia that I'm really glad isn't on the internet. And it was, at a poetry slam that I first met kind of members of the Minneapolis hip hop scene. One of them, Yoni Reinhardt's, invited me to be in kind of a fledgling group that he was working on. And at one point, he gave me like a burned CD. Kind of CD-ROMs, I guess.
Sure.
And I I really dug it. He was kind of steadily feeding me like a slow drip of music. And I remember this one, and it still had that kind of, rainbow sheen of like a blank CD, but there was
sure.
But there was like a dead bird on its back with an X for an I. And I loved it. It was rugged and ambitious and kind of also tender. And I said, "Who are these guys? They sound like Pacific Northwest." And he said, "Those are the guys that live next door. That's Doomtree." And so I got connected to that group very much organically, I guess, by hanging out in the neighborhood of town Minneapolis. Yeah.
Well, I remember, I was going to say South Minneapolis, because when you've done a few live streams from your kitchen, I go, man, that is so South Minneapolis, where I lived for years. And I remember Bob Stinson of the Replacements had a great line once. He said, all the great rock bands in Minneapolis, you could find them between Lake Street and Franklin and Lyndale and Hennepin. And a lot of great music came out of that part of town.
Okay, so wait a minute. When you saw the live stream, what announced that my kitchen was a South Minneapolis kitchen?
It just looked like
busted.
a few kitchen parties I've been in South Minneapolis.
Well, if you're in my kitchen, you're in most of my apartment in Minneapolis. So yes, this is where the party and the cooking and the anxious pacing all have to happen.
So what was your musical background?
Yeah, I would say really motley. Like, I didn't go to music school, and like most pop musicians, but also I wasn't in like band or choir, and I wasn't doing, theater stuff as a kid. I was mostly like writing kind of solo in my basement. So for me, I think that the lyrics came first. My mom also, I should just say, like, my mom has this she had like a fantastic singing voice. And so she would sing all the time while she was working or while she was doing the dishes or while we were driving around. And she would encourage me to sing along. So in a lot of ways, I think just kind of growing up under her wing was a lot of the musical instruction that I had in that kind of just informal daily setting, The stuff that she listened to and the stuff that my father listened to was obviously formative as I'm coming up. So my dad really liked the Beatles. He was also a lutenist in his own right. So he played professionally like an Elizabethan era precursor of the guitar. So if you imagine like, one of those really old kind of round gourd shaped things. Yeah, with a bunch of strings. So from him, listening to him either play the lute or later classical guitar, it's not like I knew like this is Bach or this is Paganini. I was just like, that's sad and pretty. And I remember listening to like, as much as I'm sure my brain was just kind of metabolizing like the chordal information without me knowing it. In the same way that you learn language without knowing that you're learning how to conjugate stuff. I think I just remember like the sound of his fingers sliding up and down the nylon strings as like part of a formative musical experience. And then in the house, it was Michael Jackson and Tina Turner and Sade were some of the big favorite. Also Cher. Like I will take my demerits, but I just love the Cher Heart of Stone album so very much.
Well, God bless you. When I saw your show at the Minnesota Orchestra, which was amazing for so many reasons, and bringing, I just think artists like yourself performing with symphony orchestra is such a great way to grow that audience, because the classical audience, I mean, let's face it, it's getting older and it needs new blood. And on the break, the guy in front of you had your book just came out, My Own Devices, and the guy in front of you bought 3 copies. He gave one to me and the 2 people behind me. So before the second set came on, I was glancing through the book and I started reading about your dad, Robert Wander. And I used to study with classical guitar with your dad in the late 70s in Duluth. So the last I heard about Robert Wander, he was making canoes. And so I was reading your book, and it said that your dad was making gliders. And I went, well, what is a glider but a canoe with wings? And then I put it together that I had studied with your father for about a year. A wonderful guy. I mean, he was the classic. You were probably a little girl back then. But he was the classic beatnik hipster, man. He was living on that Redstone triplex off Masaba Avenue, and I'd go for my lessons. And he had a suit coat, turtleneck.
Oh my God!
Leather patches on his elbow and smoking a freaking pipe.
This is amazing. Okay, so I wasn't born yet, so I don't know this version of my dad. Is it true that he was making canoes? Is that real?
He was what?
Did he really make canoes? I have never heard this.
That's what I heard.
What you heard. That's the word. That was the word on the street. Okay, I'm going to be calling my dad.
When you call him, say thank you for. I mean, all of my right hand technique came from Robert Wong.
Really? Okay, because my right hand technique, he couldn't tolerate the way that when I was a kid, and I tried to pick up the guitar. Okay, for people who don't play, which includes me. If you think of like that first knuckle on your right hand,
sure,
that's the one. That's the hand that you'd be using to press the strings down firmly against the fretboard, right?
Right-handed, it would be the left hand, but
oh, sorry, yes, of course. What am I talking about? Thank you. You can tell I don't play, but all of my knuckles would like collapse at absolutely any excuse, just zero hand strength, and I'm just made out of rubber bands. So I think that if you can report good right-handed technique, then he'll be glad to. That will be the only good guitar news he's gotten from me. So.
Well, and I'm also excited. I've been in touch with your mother, Sylvia, because she used to broadcast on KDAL, which is the radio station that this show is coming from. She was also on KDAL TV News, and I know she's got a ton of cool things going on in Wisconsin. So we're scheduling a interview with Sylvia here towards the end of the month. So I feel like I'm Dessa's crazy uncle here in a weird way.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome! I gotta tune in, Mom. Let me know.
Hey, now, so what, Dessa? What do you compose on?
So let's see. Do you read music, Paul? Yes,
yeah, I used to. Yeah.
Okay. I don't. And so for me, very often, I think like a lot of pop musicians, maybe particularly in the genres that I work in, which is mostly like weirdo pop, some straight ahead pop, rap, and R&B. I probably wouldn't have used the word compose unless somebody from like a composing guild was like, dude, you're writing music. You're composing. Shut up. Use the word. So what? So it doesn't look the same, meaning like I'm not drawing notes on paper. But for me, let's see, if I look to my left in my apartment at the moment, I can see like a Casio keyboard, which sometimes, if I've just got like, I'll do what's called comping. So it's like I'm not writing a fantastic piano line because I'm not a pianist, but I'll write just enough to help kind of support the song, to give the song bones, if not full flesh.
Right.
And then I'll share that usually with Andy Thompson, who is the same guy who orchestrated, that orchestra show.
Sure.
Or Laserbeak, who is a longtime collaborator and homie from Doomtree. Or sometimes I'll make my own beats. So I'll use a program like Pro Tools or even like GarageBand, which is the one that's loaded in, kind of automatically, like if you buy a MacBook.
Right.
And it's not a Ferrari for processing, but in those early stages, I don't really need a Ferrari. I need like a 10-speed that's nimble. So I'll kind of capture my musical ideas there. And if I've got an idea for a string line, that's something that I can usually hum or a little bit more laboriously, slowly pick out note by note. On a keyboard. Yeah.
Well, it works well for you, and it's, worked for Leonard Cohen. So
I'll take it, man. Yeah. Any excuse to be in the same sentence with that dude, I'm in. I think he's just masterful.
So Dessa, I've kind of asked you, because I know we only have a limited amount of time. Number one, what time is your performance tonight at Bent Paddle?
I will be on stage with my band at 5 p.m. So if I can, just a really quick shout out to the people who'll be joining me.
Please.
Thanks. I'll be on with Joshua Williams, who is my musical director. He plays keyboards. He's also, he raps. He's one of those like obnoxiously talented people who can play all sorts of varied instruments.
I hate those guys.
Dude, tell me about it. And then another one of that same kind of ilk, Aviva J, has this phenomenal voice. She plays all sorts of stuff, but in my band, she plays a pixie harp. So it's like a 22 or 26 string harp that you can kind of strap to your body and play. It's really pretty. And then Ian Allison on bass, and lastly, a hometown hero, Abby Wolf.
Love Abby.
Yeah, so she'll be joining too, doing some percussion and some vocals.
Was Ian your bass player at when I saw you a couple years ago at the West Theater?
Oh, that's a good question. I think so, but yes, I think so. But I admit that of all the people that I tour with, my memory is worse for particular show recall. Some people can say if it was May 15th, then we went for pizza afterwards, and check-in was tricky at the at the Days Inn. And I admit that to me, it's all kind of an disambiguated sluice of time. So I'm sorry, but he rules. He's a rare bassist, I think. And he's this like big internet personality in his own right. Like people love other bassists and other musicians really love his conversations on craft, great tone, and just like a cool guy to play with.
Oh, really solid bottom. I sat next to his mother at the show, and my mother, probably like your mother, is all our mothers are our biggest fans, and she was beaming for the whole show.
Really?
I kept telling her how good her son was. We had a great time together.
Oh man, okay. You have managed to like find yourself in some particularly wholesome concert experience. Like this guy was buying books for everybody in line. So sweet. Mom. Yeah.
Tell us about performing with the Minnesota Orchestra. What an honor that must have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. Like, it was such a disorienting invitation because it was such an honor and seemed so fancy, at first that I wasn't even sure the invitation was real. I was like, is this email legitimate?
Right.
But yeah, I think for me, it has been a place to really like stretch as far as I can. Not just like as a vocalist, but as a performer. So what does it mean to perform in that room? Obviously it's a seated room, really expanding, I think, my wingspan as a performer. And also, I mean, to share stage with that amount of, how they say that if you had like a tablespoon or something of the material that comprises the sun, it would weigh 2,000 pounds or something. It feels like that, like the amount of talent that's condensed and compacted on that stage is so big and so heavy. And so, yeah, to have all of those people working in sync towards one vision, one dynamic. I mean, it's unlike any other stage experience that I've had. Yeah.
I can imagine there's got to be a daunting experience, and you're probably sitting around in the green room going, "Where's Conrad, the stage man?"
the First Avenue land. Gosh, I'll admit, I've definitely shed some tears in the backstages of Orchestra Hall and in a lot of venues in the city. It's just emotion for me anyway. Emotions run high. I want this to be awesome. I'm nervous, and that prevents me from feeling like I know it's going to be awesome because your body shakes or because you're, like your voice feels a little quivery like your knees do when you get really scared. And so for me, I've definitely had a lot of self-talks looking at myself very sternly, in a mirror rung by lights backstages. But yeah, I would also say I'm really proud of the performances that I've done with them. I think it was some of the best work that me and my team have been able to pull together. And they've been really cool to give me the green light to really design an experience. So it isn't just, hey, check it out. It's some rap and orchestra. It's like a designed, themed thing with costuming and monologues. And it's felt really good. Yeah.
It was a very powerful performance. I know we've just got a few minutes left, Dessa. you are such multi-talented in so many different genres. Have you ever been approached about doing any acting?
Oh, that's an unexpected question. I have. I auditioned for 2 things. One of them I was so good, I felt so excited. I really cried, and I didn't think I could cry. And I'm sure that actual actors are like, oh my God, who cares that you could really cry? But for me, it felt epiphanic. And the other one, I just sucked air. So I did end up doing a short film that I didn't write. I just, acted in it for my friend Brian Bieber, called The Events of That Night. And it's like a little totally low budget sci-fi short that he shot in Sioux Falls over the course of a couple nights. So thanks for asking. I don't know how natively talented I might be, but I will admit that sometimes it's been tempting to wonder if I could kind of, sneak under the barricade and into that discipline. Mm-hmm.
Well, you have a wonderful catalog of videos that people can access, your music and your books. Get as much Odessa stuff as you can afford at DessaWander.com. One more question, Des. I'm, a huge fan of yours for not only your art, but your industry and your stick-to-itiveness, and you're a master marketer, which all independent musicians need to get a handle on to survive in this world and this time. But what is a day like? A day through the evening, like for Dessa? Like, are you going to write a book? You're going to compose a song? You're going to go work out? Tell us a little bit about it, then we're going to let you go to get ready for the show tonight.
Okay, I got to admit that for better or for worse, mostly for worse, perhaps, like so much of an artistic career as I've experienced it, like you said, indie, really is kind of keeping the machine going before you have time to try to extract any art from it. So there's a lot of time dinking around on your phone, getting social posts up. For me, on a show day, there is also usually a panicked trip to try to find something to wear. I've worn the same clothes for 10, 15 years. And it's time to up the game. So for me, every once in a while, the other members of my band, Aviva or Abby Wolf, will ping each other with a text message in the few hours before sound check, all of us frantically trying on something new and black in a fitting room somewhere in the Mall of America. But yeah, a workout, if I'm lucky, a little bit of creativity, and then a lot of the admin that just goes into keeping any small business alive, irrespective of what it does.
Well, you do a really wonderful job of it. I'm really looking forward to seeing you tonight, hearing the great band, and keep up the great work. When we get a minute, because we only had about 20 minutes to chat with Dessa today, we need to fill this out. There's more I want to talk to you about, but I know you've got a big show tonight. So do your thing, rock 'em big time, and thanks so much for your time, Dessa.
Hey, thanks for having me, and see everybody tonight.
Okay, bye-bye.
Trading on our innocence. These chains.
I always love talking to Dessa. You're listening to Stars Over the Prairie. We're going to be back with Mary Lee Cordes after the break.
We've known it all along.
I'm Joe, and I had Z LASIK at Weiss Eye Center. The funny thing is I absolutely hated buying a contact solution because I thought it was such a racket having to spend $15 on a bottle of contact solution. And that's just one thing, is just not having to buy that stuff anymore, or glasses or anything like that. For me, it's mainly just I like to hunt and fish and everything, and not having to bring that stuff along, especially in the winter when I go ice fishing and stuff. It gets a pain when I get to the end of the day taking my contacts out, and then if a rattle reel goes off in the middle of the night, I'm fumbling for my glasses to throw and try and catch a fish.
Weiss Eye Center is the only clinic to offer blade-free Z LASIK in the Northland. To find out more and to arrange your free consultation, call 218-625-1917 today, or visit weisseyecenter.com for more information. Weiss Eye Center. See the best.
River City Records and Books, voted Best Record Store of 2023 in the Twin Ports by the Duluth Reader, has in stock thousands of new and used vinyl records, from classic rock to punk, grunge, and metal, to hip-hop, rap, jazz, reggae, and dub. Thousands of books, CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray, and VHS. Also a large selection of cassettes, comic books, and music magazines. Stop in and see them at 1814 West Superior Street in the friendly Lincoln Park Craft District. Open 9 to 7, 7 days a week.
If you're looking for a great hang in downtown Duluth, I highly suggest Carmody's Irish Pub. They're located at 308 East Superior Street, open Tuesday through Sunday. The host and hostess are Eddie and Liz. Eddie is a retired Chicago cop. If he happens to be in the club when you're there, talk to him. He's got more stories than I do. They've also got a great jam session every Tuesday night from 8 to 11 with Bruce Woodman. So if you're a musician, tried and true that has been out there playing and just want to go try out some new stuff, go down and hang out with Bruce and the crew. Or if you're just up and coming, bring your horn or your stringed instrument or just want to sing. Go sit in with Bruce Woodman every Tuesday night at Carmody's Pub, 308 East Superior Street.
Gray Wolf Lodge, located on gorgeous Pelican Lake in beautiful Orr, is the great getaway in northern Minnesota. Featuring affordable, modernized cabins that rent by the week or even a few days, Gray Wolf Lodge is your place to treat the family or just yourself for a relaxing time away from it all. With great fishing, yoga classes, massage, boat rentals, a sandy beach, a common gathering area with a fire pit, and the gorgeous and rustic Gray Wolf Lodge, hosts John and Carol have thought of everything for your unforgettable stay. Give them a call at 1-800-840-9653 or go to GrayWolfLodge.com to see all that they have to offer. Gray Wolf Lodge, your home away from home in the North Woods.
It stars Over the Prairie with 8-time Minnesota Music Award winner Paul Metsa.
Welcome back to Stars Over the Prairie, and we've had stars on all morning. Jeff Kramer from Nova, Ukraine. Lisa Wilson, who will be at the Ukraine benefit this coming Wednesday, May 14th at the Sacred Heart Music Center. The great Dessa, who's performing tonight at the Bent Paddle 10th anniversary over there in Lincoln Park and my neighborhood. And now, all the way from somewhere in the wilds of the state of New York, the great Mary Lee Cordes. Mary, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, actually. It's afternoon out there. You guys are an hour ahead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. so the afternoon is looking good, just so you know.
Good.
By the time it gets to you.
It's gorgeous here. Yes, I know. It takes a while. Hey, I had such a good time hanging out with you and performing with you at Shelter from the Storm down there in Tulsa on January 24th. You sang along with me on Bob Dylan's Dream with the four remaining members of Blood on the Tracks: Kevin Odegaard, Greg Inhofer, Bill Berg, and Billy Peterson. And boy, did we have a ball.
Oh, it was a magical night, I thought. I was so happy to get to be part of it. It was my first time in Tulsa, and I loved it.
Oh, they call it the Magic City for a reason. Was it just me? Because everybody seemed so friendly.
Yes, it wasn't just you. It really was. Somehow they cast this experience of a bunch of great people with nothing but a positive agenda, I guess you could say. Let's go and celebrate music that we all know and love. And, we're all grateful to be here, and that just kind of filtered through everything.
And everybody had, of course, such a reverence and respect for Bob Dylan. I was really personally happy to see how sweetly, warmly, and nicely the four guys from Blood on the Tracks were received down there. They were like returning champions.
Exactly. You guys are heroes to people. I mean, come on. It's really not an exaggeration to say that. That album has meant so much to so many for so long. And you guys are a big part of what made it happen.
Well, I didn't. All I did was put the guys back together that played on it in 2001 and then rode along in that victory train all the way till when they got their, finally got their credit on the record in 2019 with More Blood, More Tracks, and then was nice. And then somehow wrote a book called Blood in the Tracks, the Minnesota musicians behind Dylan's masterpiece with the great Duluth native Rick Shevchik, and then got invited to perform down there. That night was so amazing. How long was that show? It was like Woodstock. I mean, it was like at least 3 to 4 hours, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, but it didn't feel long. It was just so wonderful.
Yeah.
And then we all got to get on stage at the end with Elvis,
I know, with Elvis. And Elvis was literally, he had not left the building. What were your favorite performances from that evening?
Oh, that's hard to say.
How about Lucinda Williams doing Idiot Wind?
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really, in the way she performed it, it was kind of like a mantra.
Yeah.
Because she sang every verse exactly the same, melodically.
Yeah.
And it became, we're idiots, baby. I wonder we can still know how to breathe, And she just sang it the same every time. And because when I sing it, I don't sing it exactly the same every time.
Right.
And then I realized I was being sort of cycled into this meditation almost.
Yeah.
It was,
And then her version of Not Dark Yet was just knockout.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that line, I feel like I can never hear it too many times. It's such a brilliant line, which is that's Dylan's brilliance, right? When he says something that's so obvious after you hear it. It's like, how come nobody else thought of that?
My nephew, I had the pleasure of meeting and spending time with B.J. Rolfson, who is Bob Dylan's high school English and humanities teacher, and I had right in B.J.'s living room, had him recite poetry, original poetry, and then poetry by some of the greats. And you can just imagine B.J. in 57, 58, 59, as a young man teaching in Hibbing High School and imparting that love of language to young Robert Dylan. He said he always called him Robert. Mm-hmm. Bob sat in the front row. In fact, BJ was a real character. My nephew Jordan was doing some recording of some old Iron Rangers and ended up with BJ and sat down in BJ's study by his wooden desk that I would love to get my hands on that's still out there. And they were playing Dylan songs. BJ had his compact disc player next to his desk. And he said when he played Not Dark Yet on CD, he said tears came to BJ's eyes. My nephew Jordan said he was so moved by it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great story, because back then, especially 50s, 60s, 70s, things started to lighten up, with teachers. As you remember, back when, all the male teachers wear suits and ties and all the female teachers always had a dress on until the 70s took over and then things loosened up. But BJ always wore a suit and tie. And after Bob Dylan got booked in 64 to play the Ed Sullivan Show, which he ended up not playing because they wouldn't let him sing John Birch Blues, came to visit BJ during class. And now Bob had started to become a big name. I think he was actually in Look magazine by then, and knocked on the door. BJ's class was in session, and BJ came out and said, "Robert, the class is in session. Can we talk as soon as it's done?" And I was talking to BJ, and BJ was like, early 80s at that time. He said, I really should have invited Bob into the classroom back then. Because all the students, of course, knew, hey, man, this is Bob Dylan from Hibbing, Minnesota. Let's talk about this book that is just really so well put together. I've done a few books, but I'm in the hardcover version of Dreaming of Dylan, 115 Collective Dreams of Bob Dylan by my guest, Mary Lee Cordes. It's so beautifully designed and put together.
Thank you. I'm so proud of it, and I'm so happy that it got born, because it's an idea I had a long time ago, because I had a recurring dream of Bob where we're sitting in a restaurant in Greenwich Village, little restaurant in an old building. It's kind of in the basement and brick walls, dimly lit. And he says three things to me. Mary Lee, I think you're great. I love your music. Don't ever quit.
There you go.
So you can imagine you wake up from a dream like that and you walk around just high all day. And it feels so real. You know how dreams are. I would have this dream like, I don't know, every so often I'd have this wonderful dream. And then it hit me one day, I can't be the only person dreaming about Bob Dylan on this whole planet, right?
Right.
So I thought, wouldn't that I'm just going to see. I'm going to put the word out and see if other people dream about him and what their dreams are. So people started sending me their dreams. I was like, oh, my God, this would make an amazing book. And I had a music publisher, BMG, at the time, who they had just started a book division, and I presented the idea to them, and they said, this is really weird. We love it. So it came to be, and then, it's just, I'm just so thrilled about it.
What, I think I probably dreamt about Dylan more than once in my life, but the one that I remember was just about a year ago. I dreamt I'd opened a show, and then he invited me personally to sit in on the encore with him and the band. And so I was all set, going, packed crowd, plugged my guitar into the amp, but the amplifier did not work.
I have to tell you, Paul, that's a theme. You may have, I don't know if you've read every dream yet, but there are a number of dreams people have of getting to play with him, and then something goes horribly wrong.
Really?
Somebody dreamed that they were asked to, that Tony was sick, and they were asked to sub for him.
Tony Garnier, the bass player. Yes. St. Paul native, by the way.
Yes. So one of these dreamers was asked to sub for Tony. And he said yes, and he was so excited, and then he got on stage and realized, I don't know how to play bass. Things like this, people have these dreams that they get this chance, and then, oops.
But couldn't that be because they think it's them that they lack the, they think they're going to screw it up, and so that's why it's a part of the dream?
Right, but that's not what happened to you. It was the gear.
Yeah, it was the gear.
Equipment.
But I mean, because it's a dream, maybe their own inadequacy or something like that within their head.
Well,
right. Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. No, I have dreams like that. I remember when I was in high school and I was on the radio on WHLB up there in Virginia. I would have dream, and I was the morning guy. I was only about 16 or 17. Mm-hmm. So I had to get there at, the show, or the station went on the air at 6 a.m. So I had to get there after 5 because now this is old school radio, Chris, but my engineer, Chris Allen, can relate to it. I had to turn on the feed because it also fed WFMG in Hibbing and WELY up in Ely.
Yep.
So, but we got the feed, but I would have more than one dream where I couldn't get the show on the air.
Yeah.
So they're talking about inadequacy and fear.
Yeah.
And anxiety dreams, yeah.
Now, Mary Lee Cordes, do you have, read us one or two out of your book? A couple of your favorite ones. Now, you got 155 to choose from, so.
100, yeah. Well, I'm going to start, if I may, with one of mine, because I don't think I should read anything that's too long. So this is Dream 109, and I titled it, It's Time. I was on a big boat, like a luxury liner, asleep in a big open room on a lower level on a mattress on the floor. Dylan called me on my cell phone to tell me it was time to get up. Then my real-life cell phone alarm went off, interrupting my dream of Dylan calling me on my cell phone to tell me it was time to get up. He knows everything. Wasn't that wild? I was actually dreaming of him calling me to tell me to get up. And then, my alarm went off.
Wow.
So that's my conclusion. He knows everything.
The guy does have great timing.
Wow. Now, yeah. And perception.
You've been in the music business for a while. So did you start with your musician friends?
Well, my first post was on Expecting Rain.
Okay.
The forum, and I got a bunch there. And then, I did tell all my friends, and I have a number of musician dreams, and from my friends, and which are all kind of long, actually. They're pretty long. But and then just all the people from all over the world who I don't know, obviously. And where's that one? Where's the one I really like? The really short one. See. It's I had it bookmarked. Where'd it go? Anyway, it's from this guy. I'm sorry. Anyway, he it's called Dig It. I'll just find it here. Yeah. And it's from Mr. Tangerine Man, works at a grocery store in San Diego. And his dream is this. I dreamed I was digging a ditch with Bob Dylan, but he had no shovel.
That was it?
Yes, but it's like he's here to help me, but then, nothing. I was digging a ditch with Bob, but he had no shovels. This is by Bill Peters, Mr. Tangerine Man at Lucan's Village Foods, San Diego.
Oh, that is so funny.
Right.
Go ahead.
There's another theme in the book of Dylan being there but not coming through for you. Here's another short one, Dream 101, Don't Let Me Down, from Sarah Post in New Haven, Connecticut. I'm touring with a band just off the bus outside a country house somewhere overlooking a lake. Feels like late fall. Everything is a faded brown. For some reason, we are all perched on the ledge of a steep cliff just outside the house. Dylan is crouched to my left. His face is very young, soft, and smooth. I feel that I'm slipping off the ledge, which would be death. I ask if someone can pull me back. Dylan says, no. That's one of the dreams referenced in my song, Dreaming of Him, where it says, I said that I might fall. He said, go right ahead. He didn't care at all. That fall might leave me dead in my dreams.
Did you ask, I just stumbled on this guy, Otis Gibbs, that does this great YouTube channel where he just goes around and very unassumingly talks to a lot of musicians, great musicians. Ray Benson by someone recently with Sleep at the Wheel, and Kenny Vaughn, who plays with Marty Stewart. Went down the Otis Gibbs rabbit hole a couple of weeks ago, and I saw a great interview with your husband, Eric Gamble.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
I knew Eric from, I believe I saw the Del Lords with Scott Kempner way back in the 80s in New York City. But But I had no idea that Eric also played with Steve Earle for a while. And,
yeah, for 5 years.
Yeah, now, what are some of the other musicians Eric's played with? And because he's the guy's been all over playing with some of the coolest people out there and recording and producing them.
Yeah, well, Joan Jett,
There you go.
He's the original guitar player in Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. That's him on I Love Rock and Roll.
Wow.
Yeah. And I played on a number of Steve albums. He played on and produced most of mine. The Bottle Rockets.
The Bottle Rockets, yeah.
Yeah. Great Midwest band. Nils Lofgren. He produced an album of Nils Lofgren.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, called Crooked Line. That's an amazing album. If you're hearing my voice and you've never heard that album, please go get Nils Lofgren, Crooked Line.
Oh man, Nils is. He's been a great guitar player since he was 16, playing with Neil Young.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's it seems like he came out of the womb playing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure, he had to work a little harder than that. But
did you ask hubby Eric about did he have any Bob Dylan dreams?
He didn't, and he was sad.
Now, did you? I haven't been able to go through the whole book. You didn't have. Was anybody working blue? Did anybody have any Dylan erotic dreams?
Well, there's one where a girl got pregnant, but it wasn't super explicit. I had one where we're kind of making out. It's very sweet, actually, but nothing, wild.
Right.
Yeah.
And probably those that have would not want to share those images and dreams anyway.
Yeah, I did give people the option of withholding their name if they, that's something they wanted.
Who helped design this book? Because it is really, you don't even have to like Bob Dylan or want to hear anything about his dreams, but the photos and the layout and just the way it holds in your hand and the quality of the paper is just phenomenal, Mary Lee.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, I'm so proud of it. I worked really hard on it, and I worked with an incredible designer named Mark Melnick, who's a freelance book designer. And I did have a lot of ideas of my own, but he took what I was seeing and then he added his own vision, and that's what you're holding in your hand. Yeah. So Daniel Root, an incredible photographer. We went around the West Village and took a bunch of photos. So a lot of the original photographs in there are Daniel's. And we visited with the great Dylan archivist, Mitch Blank.
Yeah. Tell us about Mitch. I've heard about him. Tell us about Mitch Blank's apartment.
Well, it's loaded with all kinds of Dylan memorabilia and paraphernalia, and it's kind of hard to describe because it's overflowing with just stuff. And for example, there's a dream called Dylan versus Paulson. Any of your listeners who watch the Smothers Brothers show?
Pat Paulson.
Pat Paulson, right. And there was Mitch has a collection of buttons on a poster board, and in that picture, in with this dream, it's, some of the buttons say "I'm a Groucho Marxist," just crazy things. Humphrey for president, teenagers for task, a bunch of McCarthy buttons.
Sure.
And then there's so that image from Mitch's apartment illustrates. This is a really short dream. I'm going to read it, okay?
Yeah.
This is a name withheld. I don't know why, but Dream 103, Dylan versus Paulson. I'm sitting at the kitchen table with my parents. I'm very young in the dream, only 7 or 8 years old, and the presidential election is coming. My parents are fighting about who to vote for, Bob Dylan or Pat Paulson. Goofy, right?
Now, you just got back from the UK.
I did. I had a wonderful tour there for 2 weeks. Yeah, it was. I love touring there, and I had just been there in October opening for Joe Jackson.
Cool.
I went back and did my own tour, and it was just, I toured, it was a co-bill with another artist named Carol Hodge, who's an amazing English artist. And so life is good.
When are you
getting to see you more often, you know?
When are you? We've got to get you here. We've got to do your Blood on the Tracks show. We got to get that set up in Duluth, Minnesota, Bob Dylan's hometown.
Yeah, I haven't done it there before, so it's overdue.
It's overdue, and I'm waiting to hear the Eric Ambel, Mary Lee Curtis duet record. You guys got, I'm sure, around the kitchen table, it's got to be a little George and Tammy every now and then.
Okay, I will put that on my to-do list.
Mary Lee, thanks.
Actually working on a new album, so but it's not that. But anyway, enough about me.
You keep us posted. We got to run here. Okay. We're getting, of course, top of the hour. Thanks. Say hi to Eric, Mary Lee Cortez. Get her book, Dreaming of Dylan.